Part 156. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1566. Yan Ji saw him approaching, the green above his head gradually separated. I couldn't help but feel disappointed. Alas, this man looks so beautiful, and if his hair is green, that's the icing on the cake. Unfortunately, no one is perfect. The expression of Yan Ji changed instantly, and Go Zi's heart suddenly lost. He knew that Yanj and others had children. He would certainly not forget the person so easily, but he was not reconciled, and asked softly, "Don't want to?" Yan Ji nodded, "Yes." "What?" "Yes." The surprise came too suddenly. Go Zi grabbed Yan Ji's hand suddenly, and he never liked to laugh. At this moment, he really laughed like a 250. But even 250, that's a handsome 250. Yanj touched his curly hair. Then you have to think clearly. After getting on my thief boat, it will not be easy to get off the boat in the future. Then, why is it so strange that he shouldn't say it? But it doesn't matter. Goza struck the iron while he was hot, for fear of Yanj's remorse, immediately collected several rings with diamonds from his space, one set on the 10 fingers of Yanj. Well, 1 or 4 fingers are set, and the set is called one full. Yanj felt that if he stretched out his hand, he would have to blind others' eyes. She euphemistically said, "In fact, I prefer the storage ring you gave me last time." Goza looked at her slender hands and replied casually, "These can be stored, which is larger than that space. After all, in this world, real gold and silver are really worthless. Even this ring is not special, so I'm really embarrassed to propose it." Words of song. So this guy was the one who gave her the smallest one? Yan Song stared blankly at him. Still smiling like a 250-year-old Goza didn't know he was in trouble. He said, "We'll get married tomorrow. What kind of wedding dress do you like?" Yan Ji raised his hand and planned to go and curl his hair, but the baby son grabbed her hand and shouted at her with a smile, "Oh, oh." With this interruption, her hand was pulled again by Goza. "Zioch, what kind of wedding dress do you like? You pick." During the talk, the whole room was covered with wedding dresses. Various colors and styles. This guy is really a mobile warehouse. Yan Ji bowed his head, not staring at the wedding dress on the ground, but these rings on his hand. Suddenly, it wasn't a bad thing to marry him. At the very least, this person clearly distinguishes himself from outsiders, so don't worry about him being a scatterboy. The marriage of He-Chi and Ruan-Ching almost caused a shock in the base. It's a big melon. Oh no, it's a big news. Yan Ji, a sleeping beauty, rarely appeared in the base, but Ruan-Ching, because from the bottom, she was called the Thunder First Beauty by everyone in the base. The Thunder First Beauty not only became a Thunder player, but also married the Thunder First Handsome. Although the sky is gray every day, these days, everyone is still immersed in this big melon and can't calm down. However, before their hearts calmed down, they got news again. The boss is getting married too. The boss also married his own Thunder player. Moreover, the object of marriage is Ruan-Ching's sister, which is also the true first beauty of the Thunder. The woman who can terminate the boss's single, even if you have not seen it, absolutely believe in the gold content of this first beauty. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1567. So everyone's attention instantly shifted from Ruan-Ching and He-Chi. Ruan-Ching did not expect that even if she left the house, the nightmare brought by Yanj would follow her. Even if she had a good marriage, all the limelight was snatched away. On what basis? She considers herself to be worse than words. At that time, Xiaomo used all the attention to Yanj. But in the end Xiaomo didn't see him, and Yanj didn't even want to go out to find it. This woman is obviously cold and cold. Why is luck so good? After Yanj and Guza got married, they began to concentrate on expanding the territory. Green planting and land cultivation techniques have not been solved. After Yanj advanced again, he saw that the available materials and resources were getting scarce and the environment was getting worse. Famine now threatens more than zombies. At Guza's suggestion, she simply stayed in the laboratory and cultivated green plants with researchers. She is a wood-based mutant, and she can give birth to green plants at will, but there is a basis for this will. These are the lives she gave, and they will dissipate once she is out of her control. Researchers are also trying to cultivate the right soil with the blood from her body. But every time it ends in failure. Yanj thinks maybe she can solve this problem by advancing again. However, each advancement requires a large number of crystal nuclei. And the demand is greater than once, and it is more difficult than once. Yanj wasn't even sure, and she couldn't go any further herself. You can't watch humans die out like this. Having lived in Thunder Base for so long, today's Yanj really treats this place as a home. Therefore, researchers have suggested that when Yanj goes one step further, Yanj himself has the same idea. But she hasn't left the laboratory for a long time. The Guza man didn't want her to advance further. Previously, she swept 5 or 6 cities of death. After she advanced a few times, Guza seemed to suggest that she go to the Scientific Research Institute to help her, in fact, to cut off her chance to go out. Although this man didn't talk much and followed her most of the time, once he made up his mind, it wasn't her pillow that could manage things. Therefore, if you want to advance your song, you have to hide it. Fortunately, those members of the Thunder Squad were very tough, and they would help her bring the news. She also saved herself to inquire about the news of the place of death. When I met Ruan Qing again, it was also when Yanj stayed in the laboratory for more than 3 years and went out for the first time after getting the news. On the side of the road, she saw Ruan Qing standing in the wind. He died as early as 2 years ago, when he was on a mission with Ruan Qing. He died, but thankfully Ruan Qing survived. In this end time, many people will die every day. The top squad such as the Thunder Squad will also have casualties. Yanj was expressionless towards the resentment and hatred in Shang Ruanking's eyes. This woman always felt that she was better than the original owner, but she was bad luck because of the original owner, so she sighed and tried to step on the original owner. But everything was worse than she wished. She found such a man, originally in the last days, at the Thunder base. This is already the envy of many women. It is the boss of the base who wants to find the song. Although Go Zi doesn't have many words, he is no better than Go Zi. After all, why really like to mess around? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1568. Ruan Qing thought that he had enough fire-powered abilities, but did not expect that the Yanjmu-powered abilities changed even more. Everywhere is inferior to Yanj, and she cannot but leave the base, so she has to live in the shadow that Yanj brings to her. Occasionally he would be sullen and beaten in the presence of everyone. Ruan Qing has never been happy in recent years. Seeing Yanj alone at this moment, Ruan Qing laughed sneerily. I have waited for this day for a long time. Everyone is comparing her with Yanj. Everyone boasted in front of her. Everyone loves words. Every day she was thinking about how to make the words disappear. This is already her obsession. If at first she would want to harm the original owner only temporarily. Now she has been planning for a long time. Yan Ji sneered indifferently, is it? Ruan Qing suddenly reached out and threw a fireball at Yan Song. If you grow such a face, you can sail smoothly. Why? Sister, have you forgotten Xiaomo now? He likes you so much and can't help looking it sticks to you, but do you still remember him now? Did you forget him completely? Everyone says that you are affectionate and righteous, but you are the most ruthless one. You can disgrace Xiaomo and hug another man, and you are disgusting. The more she talked and the more excited she was, her eyes staring at Yan Ji turned red. Yan Ji did not show up easily at the base. Except for those members of the Thunder Squad who had met her, everyone else had no impression of her ability. And because she cultivates green plants in the laboratory, everyone thinks her ability is only suitable for the laboratory, not suitable for fighting. And the word song is a wooden variant. Probably everyone feels that wood abilities are afraid of fire, and even Ruanqing is no exception. So Ruanqing is now so fearless. She couldn't wait for a moment and wanted to step on her words. But her fireball went out before approaching Song of Songs. I thought it was an accident, and Ruanqing immediately threw another fireball. But this time, the fireball turned straight and flung back on her own body. Unexpectedly she burned herself all over her face. The loose voice of Yan Song sounded in her ear, "You can't control the fire at all. The fire abilities can be burned into a ball by the fire. It is really a battle." Ruanqing screamed, and he couldn't care about the fire on her body, and flew directly to the words. But she couldn't move anymore. She couldn't even use the power. She stared at the approaching song and looked sad and indignant. "You let go of me, you let go of me. I want you to be buried for Xiaomo. He likes you the most and he likes it you, how can you betray him, how can you betray him? Yanj, it's disgusting. I feel dirty at the sight of you." She wrapped people around with a tree branch and dragged her to the ground, and she continued to say, "What qualifications do you have for me, what do you think you are?" Behind him was Ruanqing crying and yelling, looking like crazy. After Yanj said this, she would no longer care about her. She seemed to be slow, but fast. These advances have transformed her body beyond ordinary people. To be precise, it is beyond anyone. Yanj thinks that Guzi may be aware of her state, afraid she is too powerful to climb, so she hopes she won't advance further. But the man never knew that when she agreed to his proposal, it was not a temporary rise, nor was it so casual. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1569. According to the direction provided, Yanj's speed is getting faster and faster. Until sunset, he finally found the so-called place of death. In fact, as long as she has a general direction, she can pass by smelling it. Today she is much more sensitive than her baby son. The rich energy in this place of death is larger than those in the previous places of death. Yan Ji just smelled the smell, and it was impossible. She quickly entered the place of death, was about to lift her foot, and saw the man standing opposite. Go live. Speaking of which, she has been going around with Guzi in the past few years, and then in the laboratory devoted to studying how to cultivate green plants. She has never had a chance to see Gu Huo again. Two people haven't seen each other for a long time. But Gu Huo, as before, smiled slightly at her. The unrecognizable Ruanqing who was dragged behind Yan Ji saw Gu Huo, and his husky voice was pleasantly surprised. "Xiao Mo, Xiao Mo." Yan Ji took a step aside and said to Gu Huo, "Do you still know her?" Gu Huo shook his head, and he said to Yanj, "Since you don't like it, kill him." Words of song. This is the first time Gu Huo has been heard. Every time I saw him, she smiled tenderly, and she thought he was very good at talking. No, to be precise, she thought he was dumb. Ruanqing apparently did not expect Gu Huo to say so. She widened in surprise. The next moment, Gu Huo raised his hand, and a black gas entered Ruanqing's brows. Nguyen, who was still struggling, was turned into a dust. Yan Ji didn't go to Ruanqing, she looked at Gu Huo. "You Can you speak? I can only speak at the advanced level. Recently Go lived off and looked at the song, where is the child? Speaking of this, Yanj is a bit cautious. The baby son is always sticking to Gozi, and even at night, Gozi has to tell him stories to sleep with. Her mother-in-law's position was completely occupied by Gozi. Everyone thinks that she doesn't need to bring her baby to be very refreshing and easy, but no one understands her pain. He didn't follow today. Yanj asked him, how are you here? Are you going to the ground with me? Go Huo said, I'm waiting for you here. Yan Ji nodded. In fact, he still wanted to talk to Go Huo. But since he said so, he does not seem to be in a hurry. Big deal after cleaning up the zombies. There are many zombies under the ground this time. And to the surprise of Yan Ji, these zombies are already in the state of level 5 or higher. If these zombies are released, where can humans have a way of life? So many 5 levels. How did you get it out? Was it human or something that made these zombies? What's the purpose? Speaking of which, Yanj and his son have destroyed more than one such city of death in recent years. But unexpectedly, no one has come to the door until now. The 5th level zombies are not a big deal for the current Song of Songs, it just takes time. Clean up the zombies underground. Yanj didn't jump to the ground, she stood in place for a few seconds and walked forward. The boundless ground has gone for a long, long time without end. At one point, Yanj stood still, slowly lowering his head, looking towards the soles of his feet. Raise your hand to gather strength, and sing the song to the ground. The ground was smashed into a large pit with white light piercing it. The closed eyes, when accustomed to the dark words stabbed, also took a step back. The next moment she opened her eyes and stared at the big hole. White light is nothing but light. Under the ground, there is another layer. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1570. She and her son have always wanted to walk through this dark space, and really did not think there is an underground world under the ground. After Yan Yan jumped down, he found that although the lights were bright in this so-called underground world, there were no half-figures in the place. There are a lot of machines and some utensils in it, but it seems that no one has been running for a long time. She turned around and found nothing new. Jumped out of the ground and returned directly to the ground. Go Huo was still waiting to see her come out and smiled slightly at her. Yan Song had a lot of things to say to Go Huo. After all, the big gossip between Go Huo and Go Zi, she could not dig from Go Zi, but only from Go Huo. But now, she was not even interested in talking. Go Huo probably found her emotionally wrong, and asked her, tired? Yan Ji nodded. Under the ground are all 5th level zombies. It's not easy to solve. She is really tired. Sit down, look up at Go Huo. Do you know I'm here? Are you waiting for me? No, Go Huo said, I and Gozi just finished playing, he just left. What happened to you and Gozi? There can only be one between him and me. Why? Go Huo tilted his head and thought, I don't know. The words are silent. She also asked Gozi many times, and Gozi answered the same as Go Huo. If you don't know the 3 words, you can easily flip it over. But how can you not know this life and death event? The words can't be figured out, and the understanding of Go Huo and Go Zi cannot understand the grudges and grudges, but they still want to let the other person die. You two have been fighting for so many years, no one can die. What else did you fight? Before speaking the next sentence of Yanj, I heard Go Huo say, there will always be a result. He sat beside Yan Ji and looked at the gray sky together. Yanj asked him, why did you protect me at the beginning? To the original owner, Go Huo is like an angel descending from the sky. But there are so many strange things in the world. The original owner may be convinced, but the song feels abrupt. You'll know it later. Go Huo raised his hand and touched his head. He said, "You should go back. It's been so long since I came out." If Goza didn't see her when she returned to the base, she would have to turn the sky. Yanj sighed. She stared at Gohuo. "If you really kill Goza in the future, I won't stand idly by." Gohuo nodded, but did not speak. His eyes softly looked at the words. Endless pampering. Yanj avoided his eyes and waved at him, "I'm gone, goodbye." "Okay." I got up and walked a long way, and when I looked back, I realized that Gohuo was still sitting there, watching her with a smile. Seeing her turn, his eyebrows were bent, and his smile was deeper. Before Yanj returned to the Thunder base, she met Goza, who came to find her halfway through. Goza's face was somber. He stopped his little wife, reached out, and clasped his words into his arms. Since marrying his big wife, his little wife has been beaten into the cold palace, and he has rarely been ridden by him. Yanji wrapped his arms around his waist, and waited for him to ask questions, and kissed his lips. The surroundings were empty, first bathed in water, and then passion remained. So, the indulgence was thorough, and the big wife was done on the little wife. In his lifetime, Gozi experienced for the first time what is extreme cool. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1571. After all things sweated and took a shower. Yanj lazily yawned in Goza's arms. "I'm so tired. I'll take a moment." As a result, the matter has been uncovered before it is unveiled. So, there is nothing that can't be solved by taking a nap. Yanj slept for more than 10 days. Her body is advancing again. While she was asleep, she didn't know that the moment the body advanced, the whole world was shaking like an earthquake. After waking up, there was no Gozi and baby son around. Yanj is used to this. She finished washing, eating, and drinking and went to the laboratory. This time, as usual, people took a tube of blood to study, and she cultivated a green plant in the soil without any nutrients. After doing what she could do, Yanj was out of the lab. Gozi and her son have not returned yet. She is a little lonely. "I don't want to go back to the room or go to the laboratory, I just walk around the Thunder base." Many people know her and greet her with a smile. Yanj smiled and responded to them one by one. In the eyes of everyone, the zombies were almost gone, and the only thing that is scarce today is supplies. But the current environment is harsh. The soil cannot produce a little green plants, not to mention the existence of food and water. As soon as zombies pass, people are in danger of starving to death. At the beginning of Yanj, this kind of thing was not taken into consideration. It's normal to be old, sick, and dead. Even these powerful monsters can't be avoided, let alone these young and weak humans. She once asked why Gozi established such a base and why she lived like a human. Gozi is not a human, which is hardly a secret between the two. Goza thought about it before responding to her. Humanity is the foundation of the world. Without humans, all living things would cease to exist. Obviously human beings are weak and short-lived, but it is strange that human beings cannot be lacking without anything. Without humans, the world is no longer the world. Yanj didn't think this was true. Without humans, there will be other creatures that dominate the world. Goza said, by then, we would not exist. The replacement of the world comes at the cost of everything. Yanj melted into the Thunder Squad, melted into the base, and gradually realized that Goza wanted to earn a future for these people. In fact, not only because of life and death, but also because these people are too alive. Work together and experience life and death together, always hoping that they can go to the end, when the light comes, rather than die in the dark. She sat on the high wall and looked at the endless desolation outside the wall for a long time. Unlike the base, There are many green plants in the Thunder base. Seemingly lush and very lively. But these green plants are because of her presence. Once she leaves the base, these green plants will wither in an instant. I don't know if she can change the situation this time. The laboratory was dead and she had bet all hope on her. I hope there is good news. When Go Zi and his son returned, Yan Ji felt the taste of the two far away. She went down the wall and returned to the laboratory. It didn't take long for the baby son to come and flutter and hugged her thigh. After all these years, the baby son showed no sign of growing tall. Still only shouted the word. Yanj has calmed down, listening to the sound of this wow. Before he turned around, he reached out and took the baby son into his arms. What about dogs? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1572. The son of the baby, kissed Yanj's face, and looked at Yanj with bright eyes, and continued to shout, well, wow. The little ones are not so enthusiastic on weekdays. It must have smelled the strong nucleus smell of her body. After all, fifth-order nuclei are also considered rare. Yanj didn't take it out. She hugged her baby son and left the laboratory. She looked up and saw Goza waiting outside. Goza was injured. Although the clothes were clean and neat, there was no trace of blood on his body, but the blood smelled of him as soon as the song approached. Unlike the smell of normal people, this body smells more like rancid smell. Seeing Yanj approaching, he stepped back. How is your health? Yanj looked at him. How did you get hurt? Goza smiled at her. It's just a little broken, it's healed, it's fine, your nose is sharp. Yanj stepped forward and grabbed his arm. The green energy in her body entered Goza's body at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. But to her surprise, this energy could not be absorbed by Goza. When she let go, the green energy in Goza's body disappeared instantly. Seeing Song frowned, Goza raised her hand and pressed her eyebrow. Don't worry, nothing will happen. Yanj, fighting with Go Huo again. Except for Go Huo, Yan Ji could not think of who could be hurt by Go Jet. Surprisingly, Goza shook his head. No. He took Yanj's hand and a family of 3 walked towards the cafeteria. I'll be fine, he said. Even if I live against Go, I won't die. Don't worry. Okay. Everyone has a secret. Go Huo never had to dig out the secret of Yanj, but Yanj wanted to dig out all his secrets. Unfortunately, this guy is tight-lipped. A new round of testing came out. The advancement of Yan's song really has effect. The green plants she cultivated were placed far away from where her consciousness could reach and survived day and night before they withered. The former green plant would wither instantly if she left the scope of her consciousness. This is also a somewhat progressive discovery. Moreover, to the surprise of Yan Ji, the soil cultivated with her blood this time could even be planted with green plants. Her blood entered the soil, and the soil was revived, and there was anger that could breed everything. However, it is not enough. She also needs to advance. Perhaps, one more step is fine. But her current strength is just as difficult as falling out of pie in the sky. After all, a place where all the 5th level zombies died has already met her advanced needs of energy. She needs more. Don't go any further. Goza disagreed with the matter. There should be another way. All bases are experimenting and cultivating. Everyone is looking for new energy. It won't be long before new energy will be developed. And everything will be resolved by then. Yanj touched his face. It's all right when you meet. If you meet it, you will advance. If you don't, you won't have to. Goza didn't respond. He put his words in his arms and just wanted to do something to live in harmony. The son opened the door with a kick, and rushed in like a cannonball. Goza. Since having a son, he and his wife are intimate with each other like cheating, or the thief is stimulated or the thief is wronged. it is impossible for Yanji to exist as it is. When Goza left the base, she would walk around, and the places of death that were previously destroyed by her and her son, she went back to see it again. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1573. Every place of death has a dungeon. The lights were bright, but no one was there. In such a strange place, why is no one questioning it so far? Marking the coordinates of these places of death on the map, Yanj originally wanted to see what was found, maybe he could find clues to the next place of death. What she didn't expect was that these places of death were all in the same distance from each other. Oh, one of the places is twice as far away, and there is another spot in the middle that she hasn't been to. It should be the city of death that has not been set foot by her. Several points are linked to form a circle. The center of the circle is a thunder base. Before Gozu returned, Yanj destroyed the map. She soon found the last point on this circle. It is also the last city of death. Before entering, I saw Gohuo standing outside the city. Yanj never thought it was an accident every time he saw Gohuo. But she never thought that she would be the key point of the whole incident. She walked in front of Gohuo and asked him, "You and Gozi, I can only live one. What about me?" Gohuo stretched out her hand and held her by the hand. "You will be fine." He pulled her, step by step, slowly into the city. "I and him, who do you want to die?" This question, if Yanji first entered this plane, Gohuo asked, she would not hesitate to stand here. But now, she has gone through too much with Gozu. Together they grow the thunder base. They went out to do the task together. Together, take the baby son. For many nights, when she was hungry, she got up and went to cook for her with the fire in his own palm. She was silent for a moment, but for a moment, there were countless pictures of Gozi in her mind. Even if she is a careless tree, she will still be moved by the warmth like Gozi. She asked Gohuo, "Why did you protect me? Why did you leave? We are no different from these zombies." What he said of us was him and Gozi. Yan Song didn't quite understand what he meant. Gohuo smiled at the doubtful eyes of Shang Yanj. He said, "Yanj, our fate is all doomed." Yanj sneered, and she shook her arm pulled by Gohuo. "The fate can be changed, the fate can be doomed, but we can also change our lives." "Well," Gohuo said, "it can indeed change lives against the sky." He went on to say, "Yanj, I hope you are well." Yan Song laughed. In the plains, after all, it was only a short span of white horses, and it was the people in these plains that really should be okay. Into the ground, this time the zombie is still level 5. The 5th level zombies still cannot feel the advanced energy of the words. But this cake is not too small. It takes time to get it done. There were many, many zombies at this time. Endless. The more spiritual power is released, Yanji even uses his own soul consciousness. Her roots spread across this dark world, soaring in all directions. When the zombie encounters these touches, they will be sucked into ashes instantly, and therefore, the cultivation of Yanj keeps rising. When Yanji found that the roots were out of control, she couldn't take it back. It's not even possible to focus your thinking. After the energy of those zombies had been absorbed, the roots moved quickly along the ground, and all the creatures they encountered were devoured into ashes. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1574. Neither the human touch, nor the zombies, or the various types of jade that contain energy can be spared. Yanj's own ontological energy is also continuously flowing into her current body, supporting the continuous growth and spread of those roots. Spiritual force burst out, and as her roots spread in all directions, Her vision widened. Where the root touched was all her ears and eyes. It's as if these roots are weaving a world for her. This world belongs to her from the inside out. Yanj is unable to regain his own consciousness, nor can he control his spiritual power from spreading outward. At this time, she actually looked like a puppet. However, the only thing that is stronger than is that although she can't control it, she is enjoying it. Because the energy swallowed by the root touches is used by her. If this goes on, maybe this world will become part of her. The roots spread farther and farther, and Yanji's sight can be seen far and far. She saw Gozi and her son rushing towards her position. Although Gozi's little wife runs fast, at this moment, the crazy growth roots of the song are fast. Her roots spread from the ground, getting closer to her son and Gozi. Gozi and his son's energy are particularly strong. Her touches were like being able to eat a big meal right away, and each one was very excited. She was deeply moved by the excitement of these roots. "Get out of here," Yanji tried to shout at Gozi's position, "get out of here." She had a hunch, as long as her roots touched Gozi and her son, they will be ashes as soon as the living creatures they touched before. But she couldn't make her voice. No matter how she tried to control, she couldn't stop the root contact or bypass Gozi and her son. At this moment of Yanj, he even felt the impatience and pain of the heart burning on the fire. Suddenly, a voice said in the ear, "They have huge energy. If you absorb their energy, you can seal God." God. Yan Song turned his head. It was also the moment she turned her head, the surrounding scene changed. It is not the root touch of the sky, but the white space. Go Huo stood right opposite her, looking at her tenderly. At the first sight of Go Huo, Yan Ji knew that this was not Go Huo. It's not just talking to her, but just watching her back. Although this person is also gentle, she can look very aggressive. "Who are you?" She was conscious that she couldn't perform in this space, so she didn't know what the outside world was like. "What about Gozi and his son? Have you already encountered those roots that are crazy, or have they disappeared?" Yanj took a step back and looked at this space. The consciousness cannot be released, and even Ziwei seems to disappear. At this moment, she is more like a defenseless weak woman. Perhaps knowing that anger is useless, but the words of Song calmed down. Just staring at the man in front. "Who are you? All the places of death are set by you. What is your purpose?" The man stared at the words. He said, "I set it up. This is a way of sealing God for you. After this plane is completed, the rules of this world can no longer restrain you, you will be the master of heaven and earth." He looked at the words, as if he was looking for his big hand, and as if he was looking at one of his loves in this life. Obsessed and gratified in the eyes, indulgence and tenderness in the eyes, the thickening cannot be reduced. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1575. But his expression not only did not make Yanj relax his vigilance, but he was a little disgusted with this man. She took a step back, although she knew she couldn't open the distance, but she still said everything with this attitude, "The way to seal God. Lord of heaven and earth? What do you mean? Where did the neuropathy go wrong?" And the man didn't care about Yanj's reaction to this. He stood there, as if in the sky, and as far as Yanj could reach. He murmured the voice of Yanj as if in the ears of Yanj, the low dumb voice entered the body of Yanj with the ambiguous breath. "You've always wanted to seal God, and now you get what you want, why are you still hesitating?" In the eyes of Yanji, it was clear, always. The man looked at her gaze and was really entangled. She asked in return, she never thought about it like this, "Did you recognize the wrong person?" She never wanted to be a big tree, a lush tree that was envied by countless trees. The man laughed lowly, "Because you lose your heart, you will lose these thoughts. As long as you seal the God, your heart will come back, and you will find it again. She knew everything she didn't care about. It seems that this guy knows her very well. Does this guy want to dig a pit to harm her, or is she going to dig a pit and bury her? Yanj interrupted him, I know everything about my past and don't need to retrieve it. The man didn't speak, but looked at her with a pair of gentle eyes that seemed to drown. He reached out, as if to touch the top of her head. Yanj turned away, avoiding him. Who are you? What purpose? The man's hand stagnates for a moment in the air, and finally falls slowly, to help you God. He looked at the song and said softly, Ian, if you swallow him, you will become a god. What he said was Guzi, who had been wrapped in rhizomes. Yan Song pursed his lips, though he didn't speak. But her skeptical gaze said it all. The man sighed, all I said was true. This road to becoming a is just for you. I am who you will know when you become God. His expression was sincere and helpless. As if facing a child who is playing tricks. But obviously it is not helpless. He is calm and calm. Obviously, as long as Yanj continues to believe, he will make a big move to convince Yanj. Yanji met his seemingly spoiled eyes, and after a moment of silence, he finally spoke, these places of death, these zombies, and this end time, are you paving the way for me? Although this idea is incredible, Yanj asked it this way. Who can control an entire plane? Who can break the rules of heaven? Will such people exist in the world? If anyone asks this, Yanj must return to him, shit. Such a person must have been chopped to death by Tianlei at birth. It won't really exist. However, she heard the man opposite said, yes. Unexpected, but it is the expected answer. Yan Song was not surprised at all, and her lips were raised. I want to laugh, but I can't laugh. She knew that in the presence of the absolute strong, it was absolutely unnecessary to lie. What the man said before should be true. How ironic, in this plane, everyone died because of her. But she also kept working for the future of these people. Human life is like a mustard.